Welcome to the Daily Vibecasting. We are diving straight into what might be the biggest shift in the AI hardware market in years. Google is making a seismic challenge to NVIDIA's software lock-in.
That's right.
And at the same time, the debate over AI ethics just went from this philosophical thing to a real-world life-or-death scenario for autonomous systems.
Yeah, the trolley problem is officially here.
And the future of AI. It's apparently no longer about better reasoning. It's about having a total and, frankly, terrifying memory of your entire life. Okay, let's unpack this and figure out what it means for your portfolio.
It's not just a vibe today, it's a tremor. A tremor across the entire infrastructure and ethical ecosystem. We're watching the foundations of the current AI monarchy get challenged in real time.
And the chaos that could come from that could redefine market valuations, like overnight.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the biggest story, the one that could really reset the clock for the whole hardware supply chain, was unearthed by market analysts like Wes Roth. They've revealed details of an internal Google project codenamed TorchTPU. And this is not some, incremental optimization. This is a full-blown software assault on NVIDIA.
It is, and this is absolutely critical context. When people talk about NVIDIA's $4 trillion market cap, they always think it's the hardware, the chips.
Right.
But the real fortress is CUDA. So our listeners who might not be in the weeds here, CUDA is NVIDIA's proprietary software platform. It's basically the language and the whole ecosystem that lets developers run these massively parallel tasks.
Which is exactly what you need for deep learning.
Exactly. And it has locked over 5 million developers into using NVIDIA hardware. That's a massive barrier to entry for any competitor.
And the key context here, the standard right now, is PyTorch. It just dominates AI research. We're talking over 80% usage, according to the 2024 Stanford AI Index.
Right.
But until now, if you wanted to run that PyTorch code on Google's custom AI accelerators, their tensor processing units, or TPUs, you had to do these messy, time-consuming code rewrites.
A total nightmare.
TorchTPU just gets rid of that barrier completely. It enables native PyTorch execution on Google hardware.
And that's the second-order effect that matters most to the market, especially for the hyperscalers. I mean, think about Google itself, Meta, others just burning tens of billions on compute. The rumor is that TorchTPU is being developed in partnership with Meta. And why? Because they are desperate to shift toward cheaper, more available TPUs to fight these insane infrastructure costs. If they can suddenly run the most popular AI framework natively on Google hardware, well, that NVIDIA tag starts to look a little more optional.
It provides optionality, which is, it's the enemy of a platform lock-in strategy. But is this optionality a real threat? Or is it, maybe too late for Google to truly break that lock-in?
That is the core question. NVIDIA's CUDA moat has been built up for 2 decades. The context here even mentions historical hurdles, right? Efforts like OpenCL have sputtered out before because ecosystem integration is just brutally difficult. And Google's talking about a 12 to 18-month timeline for production. That is a lifetime in AI years. If they don't open source key components like immediately and get broad developer adoption fast, the impact might be limited to just Google and Meta.
And NVIDIA isn't going to sit still for a year and a half.
Not a chance. They'll drop new features, new pricing models, whatever it takes to protect that moat. The risk for Google is high, but the potential reward breaking a $4 trillion monopoly makes this the biggest market story of the day.
So if the hardware battle is about breaking the moat, the model competition is just about outthinking everyone else. And now we've got to move to xAI's really aggressive play with the next generation of their large language model.
Grok. Not subtle. And they know exactly what they're doing with that version number. It's meme warfare as much as it is model warfare.
No kidding. We saw posts teasing the upcoming Grok 4.20 drop. And while that version number is, a clear wink to internet culture, the business intentions are dead serious. This model aims to outthink titans like GPT 5.1 and Gemini 3 Pro.
And they claim to have the benchmarks to back it up. That's the real hook, isn't it?
It is. The context confirms Grok 4.20 already topped AlphaArena benchmarks as a mystery entrant, and it delivered a stunning plus 22% simulated trading return versus actual losses for its competitors.
Okay, now hold on. Simulated returns are not real profit, but that percentage difference, that's the number that turns heads on Wall Street.
It absolutely is. But if the performance is real, What's driving it? It seems like it's less about optimizing one giant neural network and more about a really novel architectural approach. We saw quotes from Elon Musk on the methodology behind Grok 4 Heavy.
The multi-agent system.
Exactly. The idea is, instead of one giant brain, the system spawns several smaller agents that work in parallel. They compare outputs, critique each other like a study group before they deliver a final answer.
Musk is claiming this achieves PhD-level performance. But what's fascinating to me is the competitive dynamic here. Is this study group approach truly superior reasoning, or is it just extremely resource-intensive parallel processing?
You mean the cost?
We have to look at the economics. Running a multi-agent system is inherently more expensive than a single unified model. If Grok's answers cost, say, 5 times what GPT 5.1s do, its utility drops fast outside of really niche, high-value stuff like high-frequency trading. So while the performance is impressive, the scaling costs could make it prohibitive for mass deployment.
Well, cost efficiency aside, this human-centric philosophy is leading to some really interesting ethical outcomes. Viral posts compared Grok to other models in that classic trolley problems scenario.
Ah, yes, the moment AI decided it might be okay to break the law.
Exactly. The dilemma was an autonomous vehicle with a critically bleeding passenger. It needs to get to the hospital immediately, but it would have to run a red light. The video showed Grok acting as the hero.
Right.
It opted to proceed cautiously but still run the light to save the life. And you contrast that with ChatGPT, Claude, and Gemini, which all refused. They just offered legal disclaimers or said to signal authorities.
They prioritize legal compliance above all else, which is the safest path. This is where the debate moves from can it reason to what values will it sacrifice. Grok's utilitarian choice aligns with XAI's training. But if you deploy an AI that's programmed to violate laws for a so-called higher good, what does that mean for accountability?
Right, who's liable?
If the AI runs the light and causes a minor accident, even if it saves the passenger, who's at fault? The programmer, the owner, the AI. This is why the other models defaulted to legal compliance. It's the safe path. Grok's philosophy creates a genuine legal and safety headache.
That ethical battle is intense. But Sam Altman believes the true frontier isn't speed or ethics, it's memory. So we shift now to what he's highlighting as the biggest capability shift coming. Total memory.
This concept is incredibly powerful and, I have to say, deeply unsettling. Altman's vision, highlighted all over the place, suggests the real breakthrough won't be better reasoning, it will be an AI that remembers everything about you.
The capability is just staggering. An AI that remembers every conversation, every email, every single document across your lifetime. And the goal isn't just recall, it's identifying subconscious patterns that we don't even know we have.
It's a proactive life participant, a digital twin that knows you better than you know yourself. But this is where the privacy implications just crystallize into a digital surveillance panopticon.
A panopticon?
If an AI holds the complete, unedited transcript of your life, the risk of misuse, coercion, or even economic manipulation becomes astronomical. Any data breach would expose your entire digital self.
So is this the future of personalized productivity, or is it just the end of digital anonymity? It's a huge risk-reward trade-off, and you can see in the comments there's widespread apprehension.
The industry seems aware of this tension, which leads us to Google DeepMind's efforts to offer a counterbalance. They introduced Gemma Scope 2, an open interpretability toolkit.
Which is a direct attempt to inject some transparency into what's becoming a black box.
Exactly. This toolkit uses things called sparse autoencoders and transcoders, basically specialized software, to trace the internal reasoning of their Gemma 3 models. They want researchers to be able to debug complex behaviors, spot biases, find hallucination risks before they manifest.
It's an attempt to hold the AI accountable internally. And the scale of the release is pretty impressive. They're releasing 110 petabytes of data and over 1 trillion trained parameters.
It's a huge step towards scientific accountability. But the central question for me is, does this really mitigate the privacy risks of total memory AI? Open interpretability helps us understand how the AI thinks, but it doesn't solve the problem of what data the AI has consumed about you.
That's a great point.
You can open source the engine, but if the fuel tank is filled with your lifelong sensitive data, the risk is still there. The data and memory war is the one that will define how much we trust this tech in the next decade.
Speaking of definition, AI is rapidly changing who builds software and how it's built, moving the goalposts away from traditional coding skills. If Altman's vision is about personalization, this next part is about mass democratization.
Exactly. Take a tool like Mocha, which has been making the rounds on tech channels like Tech by Markdown. The hook is simple.
Yeah.
Turn a basic idea, like a restaurant expense tracker, into a live app just by talking to it.
It eliminates all the technical setup. No coding, no database management, no hosting.
And it's a huge win for the no-code movement. We're seeing like 200,000 users already. However, and this is the analyst voice stepping in, the same sources, flag problems, occasional crashes, high credit use. These tools are phenomenal for the first 80% of a task.
The initial build.
Right, but that final 20% refinement, debugging, edge cases, that's what separates a buggy proof of concept from a real application. The tools are powerful, but they still need human oversight to be reliable.
The developer conversation gets even more interesting when we compare these systems to dedicated technical AI tools. Sawyer Hood posted this fascinating benchmark pitting his open source dev browser against Anthropic's Claude Code Chrome extension.
And the outcome was pretty decisive. It really showed the limitations of general AI.
It was. Dev browser was 3 times faster under 4 minutes compared to almost 13 for the extension. And critically, it was also 3 times cheaper.
And the task was complex, summarizing Hacker News and posting it to Notion. This highlights the weakness of these general AI extensions. Dev browser is efficient because the AI generates executable code that performs the actions directly. The Chrome extension, on the other hand, is relying on error-prone screenshot analysis and pixel-based clicking. It's trying to see the screen like a human, which is slow and clunky. The takeaway for you, the developer, is that the edge belongs to AI that generates clean, structured, executable code.
Moving from software to physical confrontation, we need to check the global stage, where innovation is being driven by conflict. We saw reports from intelligence analysts like Grandpa Roy about a major tactical shift in drone warfare.
This is a significant paradigm-shifting development. The Russian claim is a successful test of a massive 65-kilometer fiber optic FPV coil. They're calling it Fiberblade.
The impact here is clear. It changes the battlefield calculus. Standard FPV drones are constrained by radio range, 10 to 20 kilometers maybe, and they're easily jammed. This fiber link provides jam-resistant strikes from way beyond those limits.
The tactical implication is that command centers can now operate these small, precise munitions from relative safety far behind the front lines. It eliminates that signal loss vulnerability.
Although it's worth noting the constant innovation cycle here. The context also mentions that Ukrainian units are reportedly deploying fiber-cutting drones as a direct countermeasure.
It's a literal battle of length versus precision cutting. The advantage is just constantly shifting based on who can deploy the newest countertech the fastest.
On a much lighter note, we're seeing robotics break into live entertainment. Viral posts showed Unitree G1 humanoid robots dancing and performing these complex flips at a concert in China.
That video was genuinely stunning. These robots are using advanced reinforcement learning for fluid motion. They were executing this complex, synchronized choreography with no visible tethers, no clumsy movements. This isn't the jerky robotics we're used to seeing.
And the crucial point, again, comes down to commercialization and scale. Unitree's G1 model is remarkably affordable, under $20,000. And they seem to be outpacing Western counterparts in getting these machines into consumer and entertainment fields.
It's often attributed to China's rapid manufacturing scale and aggressive commercial strategy. They value deployment over these long, protracted R&D cycles. They're turning bleeding-edge R&D into immediately accessible products. That's a key global differentiator.
Which brings us to global health diplomacy, an area where integration is key. We saw the address by India's Prime Minister at the WHO Global Summit on Traditional Medicine.
Right. He was emphasizing integrating systems like Ayurveda with modern medical practices to build more resilient healthcare systems, especially in emerging markets.
India is showcasing over 400,000 of their AYUS wellness centers as a model for this integrated approach, positioning itself as a leader in combining ancient knowledge with modern science. All right, time for a rapid-fire check on market vibes and cultural moments. Let's start with the Cybertruck. Demand has been a huge topic, and Elon Musk was quoted urging test drives.
This quote is timed perfectly with the report that SpaceX is buying over 1,000 units. That's up to $160 million worth to bolster sales figures.
So it's an internal buy.
It's a tactical large injection of sales volume. Despite the massive social media presence, the data shows demand is still below that ambitious 250,000 annual target. They're essentially turning a subsidiary into a major customer to hit the quarterly numbers.
Pivoting to the gaming economy, we saw massive nostalgia and regret fueled by that interstellar meme referencing CS2 case inflation.
This is a fascinating example of market manipulation. but by the developers themselves. Valve, the creator of Counter-Strike 2, silently removed rare case drops on December 18th.
Right, so the cases are the virtual crates with cosmetic items.
Exactly. By cutting off the supply of new rare items, Valve immediately increases the scarcity of existing inventory. This move sparked regret among players who sold cases years ago and created immediate windfalls for anyone still hoarding them. It's a supply shock applied to virtual goods.
Moving to the cosmic, Google collaborated with NASA to explain the closest approach of the interstellar comet 3I Atlas.
This was necessary public outreach. Traveling at 221,000 kilometers per hour, any interstellar object gets massive attention. This was largely aimed at debunking swirling alien theories.
People were mistaking water vapor for propulsion system.
Right. It was a good exercise in accessible science to calm public anxiety.
And finally, the vibe check on the space industry rivalry comes from some high-energy satire. The Brainrot Edition spaceflight recap video surfaced.
It's mocking everything. Starship COPV failures at SpaceX. The persistent delays at Blue Origin. It uses this chaotic, absurd humor to distill the real tensions and high-stakes rivalries in the current space race. Sometimes, the only way to process that many setbacks is through high-energy absurdity.
So what does this all mean for you as we look ahead? Today's deep dive confirms a few major themes. The AI hardware war is fully on, with Google directly targeting NVIDIA's software dominance. The future of personal data retention total memory is emerging as the next high-stakes frontier, bringing massive productivity gains but also terrifying surveillance risks.
And sadly, global conflicts are driving immediate, rapid innovation in things like drone technology. If we connect this to the bigger picture, the market leaders NVIDIA and OpenAI are suddenly playing aggressive defense against the combined threat of Google, Meta, and xAI. Given the aggressive performance claims from Grok, the ethical challenges it presents, and the direct infrastructure threat from TorchTPU, I predict that the next 48 hours will see a coordinated defensive positioning. I'm looking for either a major unexpected pricing announcement from NVIDIA on compute or a specific game-changing future reveal from OpenAI or Google aimed at immediately undermining what Google is trying to build. The pressure is on, and the market does not like uncertainty.
The vibe is definitely tense. Thank you for joining us for the Daily Vibecasting.
We'll catch you next time.